Middays live in the Element Wealth studio, and we have in studio with us now one of the candidates for the 2nd Congressional District seat here in the state of Mississippi, Mr. Jerry Kerner. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you having you in here because, as I said in the last segment, we have spent so much time pushing that everybody needs to make a choice. We forget the word informed, and the only way to make an informed choice is to know what you're choosing from.
Yes, definitely.
Which is kind of the point. Now, I was doing a little reading up on you, and I will go ahead and say this right up front. I don't think anyone is going to hold it against you that you were born in California.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I'll bet.
You'd be surprised. For some reason, being born here in Mississippi seems to be 90% of qualification for office. So,
Now, what did you see? Number one, how'd you wind up here if you were born in California? Did you take a wrong exit on a vacation? What happened?
Well, I came here for a job. Entergy offered me a job, and I came. And I have to admit, at that time, Mississippi was not at the top of my list of places to go. But I love it here. I absolutely love it here. I would never go anywhere else. That's sincere. I've told people that for years, not just to try to make some points or whatever. It's a nice place to live. You guys actually have, laws. You have respect. Everybody is nice. You can't believe how different it is. You see, that's one thing about not having been born here. I think the people here don't necessarily appreciate really how nice everybody is. There's a Southern hospitality, and, we're nice. But when I first got here, I went to the mall, and I went into Penny's, right? And I walked in the door, and someone said, "Hi, how are you?" Or "Hi, y'all," right? And I jumped back. I said, "What did I do?" That never happens in civilization. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to greet you.
Yeah. Well, I've been to L.A. a few times, which I realize people equate L.A. with California, and L.A. is its own world.
Okay, nicely put.
Yeah, inside of California, it's its own planet. It's over to the side. But you're right. There is a noticeable difference in the way people behave. And I think we've got it right.
I do, too. I wouldn't go anywhere else. This is great. I met the love of my life here, so, I got that, too.
Oh, that's perfect. Now,
yes.
Let me ask you this. You got over here, you realized you're in a great spot. Probably, yep. And I'm biased, but the greatest spot in America. You met the love of your life.
Yep.
Things are going great. What made you decide to run for office?
Well, I don't have a handbasket, but I think that's going to be the burgeoning industry if we don't change the direction that the federal government seems to want to drag us. There's some, when I first started, it was, like one or two things, but now there are so many things that they're doing wrong. We don't have 2 hours to go through them, but now the issues are, to me, inflation, cost of gasoline. And I think both could be improved somewhat if we opened up, started to drill for oil and brought the price of gas down. That would obviously help for the price of gas. But then, food and everything else, which is kind of based on that, farmers even, right, they have to buy fuel. So I think everything would come down a little. And I'm not an economist, so I'm sure there are other steps. But the federal government needs to stop throwing money at neat stuff that, we can't afford and nobody really wants.
Well, and that's, I think, a statement everybody can agree with.
I would think so.
Now, let me ask you this. In my reading about you, you seem to be a very devoted, shall we say, constitutionalist. You believe in the Constitution wholeheartedly.
I think so. That's what I give away. I bought many hundreds of copies of the Constitution, and that's what I give away. I also have a pen with my information on it, because in my business, my FFL business, I give away things too. When people come buy transfer gun or whatever, I give away. But everybody really likes the pens I give away. So I thought, okay, so we'll do pens too. We'll do Constitution and pens. Because the oath of office for all the federal people, right, is to not preserve, protect, and defend, but protect and defend the Constitution. And I would bet you a nickel, I'm not sure if gambling's legal in Mississippi outside of the coast.
We have a lottery close enough.
Okay. But anyway, I'll bet you a nickel that none of the representatives or the senators or president has actually read the Constitution.
Now, are you basing that on what they do?
Well, I don't know. There's no nice way to say it.
Yeah, that's the limitation of radio. Sometimes you have to hold back what you really want to say, which brings me to my question. Let's say that you are elected, that you win.
I will win.
I like that. That's the right attitude. But you're headed to Washington. You get there, and, the first day you got to find out where the restroom is. You got to do all these things.
Probably, yeah.
After you get all of that out of the way, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, actually, that came up a couple days ago. I was talking to people out in Vicksburg, and I think for my district, the first thing I'm going to do is write to the EPA and say, those Yazoo backwater pumps, reevaluate it again, change your mind again, and let's get it done. As far as I can tell, there's only one person who's against it. I haven't found anybody else that's against it, a group, organization, person, whatever, just one.
But that one is the one in the way.
Well, we're going to fix that too.
That's your opinion on that, and I think a lot of people would get behind that. What else do you see that needs to be done, that needs to be attacked here?
Oh, federal stuff?
Yes.
Well, the ridiculous spending on ridiculous things. I'm trying to have to keep editing my thought here. The so-called infrastructure bill that was 9% actual infrastructure. I don't know what the other 91% went to, but I guess nobody knows or they don't want to tell us. So that's just gone. The Voter Fraud Act that died in the Senate, thank goodness. We want to mail out ballots to everybody, and I'm not sure that people have thought this through. In Mississippi, people died to get the right to vote. So I don't understand how anyone in Mississippi would want to give that up. Okay, so you mail out a ballot, right? So someone steals it out of my mailbox. I wouldn't know. They vote for me, send it back in. I go to vote. I'm sorry, you already voted. Or they take it out of my mailbox and make 1,000 copies and say send all 1,000 copies in. Of course, there's no voter ID. That would be illegal too, with part of it, right? So you just send in the copies. Now you send your ballot in and a person opens it up. Well, is that person not necessarily 100% honest? Do they edit them and throw out the ones or some of the ones of the people that they don't want to win and keep the rest of them or copy them? But it's a person. But I really like Mississippi, at least Hinds County. You walk up, you give them your driver's license, boom, right there. They hand you a ballot, goes into the machine, gets counted, you're all done. Very little opportunity for fraud there. The other way is just, whatever, hard to avoid.
Well, and we had a lot of controversy about that 2 years ago with the election, and that's why it's still in focus for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And coming up with ways to avoid that. I think we do a pretty good job of that in Mississippi, but we have to defend it.
Mississippi is good, yeah. But we still have people who don't want voter ID, and I go, well, you have to have it to register, so what did you do, lose it? Or, what happened?
It's you and I were talking before we went on the air. We have reached a point where everyone has to argue about everything, even if it doesn't need arguing about.
Yeah, we have to take the extreme, I don't want to say right and left, but the extreme opposite positions on any particular issue, which, to me doesn't make any sense. Because then, you're obviously not going to be able to come to any sort of conclusion and move on. Let's do the best we can, decide something, and move on. Let's not just argue about it for the rest of our life here.
Well, as Rhino said in the first segment, and we say this all the time, usually the truth is where, Rhino?
Somewhere in the middle.
That's usually the way it works.
Yep.
If they want to find out more, we're out of time, and I've enjoyed talking to you. If they want to find out more about you and your candidacy and what you have going on, how can they do that?
Sure. My website is Kerner for Congress. That's the number 4, KernerForCongress.com.
KERNER, number 4,
Number 4, yeah.
Congress.
Yep, that's it.
KernerForCongress.com. You can go there. You can find out everything you need to know, and I assume there's a way they can contact you on there, too.
Sure, yeah, there's a page for, which I get, I get questions from people.
Jerry Kerner, we appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's one of your candidates for the 2nd Congressional District in Mississippi, Jerry Kerner. Kerner for the number 4, Congress.com, his website. We'll continue live in the Element Wealth Studios next on SuperTalk Mississippi.